Welcome to We Are Venomaniacs, the Venom Science official podcast for all of your symbiote news, reviews, and point of views. My name is Orion, and I'm joined by hosts Carlos, Tyler, and Aaron. Say hi, guys.
Yo.
Hello.
Today we have a short review of Venom 13 through 15, the War of the Realms tie-in arc, as well as an even shorter discussion about Venom and Eddie's involvement in the War of the Realms event. We will also review Venom number 16 and the Web of Venom Funeral Pyre issue, our last two primers before we dive into Absolute Carnage next month. So to begin, we're going to have Tyler give us a rundown of the Venom number 13 through 15, the War of the Realm tie-ins. Go ahead, Tyler.
Alright, so the three-issue War of the Realms tie-in begins with a venomless Eddie and Dylan returning to New York City just as the evil forces of the Nine Realms bring their war to Midgard. Being without his extraterrestrial supersuit, Eddie's primary concern is finding a safe place for him and Dylan to hole up and ride the war out until the heroes can save the planet. But, Eddie being Eddie, he simply can't let innocents suffer at the hands of dark elves, Muspelheim demons, frost giants, and evil angels. Once Eddie gets Dylan locked up in Rex Strickland's bunker, Eddie takes to the streets to save anyone he can. However, he's no match against the denizens of the Nine Realms and is quickly subdued. One of Malekith's war witches takes pity on Eddie when she recognizes how useful he could be for her master. She gives Eddie a rune-enchanted Dreamstone, which grants Eddie incredible powers fueled by his anger. The power takes the form of a suit mimicking the Venom symbiote, giving Eddie all the powers he's familiar with, and more, but without the sentience of the symbiote. Of course, Eddie's no one's pawn. He betrays the War Witch and strikes out as the mystical Venom to answer Malekith's war. The War Witch doesn't take too kindly to his betrayal, though, and must reign in Venom if he's going to serve as Malekith's weapon. She endows Jack-O-Lantern with his own Dreamstone and has him hunt Venom down. The two rip through the streets of Manhattan in their ferocious battle. Eddie uses this time to reflect on what he brought into the relationship between him and Venom and realizes just how guilty he was for some of Venom's vices. Finally taking ownership over his personal vices and strengths, he uses the Dreamstone symbiote to power up nearby citizens and enlist them in an army of Venoms to finally take down Jack. With his fight won, Eddie abandons his Dreamstone and returns to Dylan to ride out the rest of the War of the Realms.
Excellent. Thank you so much. These issues, I know that a lot of people probably skipped these issues if they're following along with Donny Cates' series because there was like, oh, these aren't Donny Cates' issues and they're really inconsequential, but I have a feeling that really, even though these are tie-in issues and tie-in issues typically aren't critical to the main story, I think there was some stuff going on in this issue that is vital to the main story. Did you guys kind of feel like that?
Yeah, I for one thought it was a pretty interesting turn for the story. After what happened in Venom number 12, Eddie feeling betrayed by Venom's trust, and it was pretty much him trying to take care of Dylan and also being caught in the whole War of the Realms thing that was going on. So to see Eddie's perspective on his own without Venom's help. And again, for this miniseries, I just loved Eden's artwork as always. Like, it was just very on point, very detailed, and not to mention, I really, really loved the magic suit that he donned in the 3-part issue.
Yeah.
Yeah. So for my point, this 3 issues? Yeah. These kind of gave me a God of War vibe, like the new game. You got a father looking over his son, and there's Norse mythology everywhere, and the dad's trying to control his rage as he fights another god on his level. So I thought that was kind of cool, but so like as you guys just said, I kind of liked how it was more focusing on like Eddie and how was he at fault, was the symbiote at fault, is he in control of his rage, is stuff like that we've seen before, but
it built off of what Cates did the last few issues, and I mean, you could say you could skip them, but I think this helps supports Cates and what he's trying to do with Eddie as a character that just makes him stand out on his own and not just rely on the symbiote as much. And we did see a little bit of a bond between Eddie and his son, which is what some folks want to see, and I think that's what I want to see. So I wouldn't say these are skippable, but if you could, I would go ahead and just flip through them, because as I think y'all just said, like, the art is always amazing. So
Yeah.
I think it was good.
Yeah, totally.
It was okay.
The main thing that I loved about this, it's the same thing that I love about Cates' series, is that it feels like we're going back to when Eddie became Venom once more. It was just completely out of nowhere. Like, why does he all of a sudden like Venom and want it to be Venom again? All this stuff's like, it didn't make any sense with his history, and what happened in the previous Carnage series. So I like this because it's still kind of like we're taking a step back. We're re-examining, why did I want to become Venom again when there's all this baggage that we have, and now and Eddie says I have to examine exactly how much that baggage is my own versus how much of it was the symbiotes. So I really love this kind of storytelling, and I think this is for a while I've had some issues with Cullen Bunn's handling of Venom. Like, I really his Toxin with a Vengeance run with the Agent Venom series I still hold as some of his best work with Eddie Brock. But since, like, the whole Poison trilogy, I did not really care for how he handled Eddie with that, and he kind of redeemed himself, I believe, with these War of the Realms tie-ins.
I was about to say, yeah, I think this is the best Eddie Cullen Bunn's ever written. Like, even better than the Toxin stuff. I really enjoyed just reading, like, Eddie's inner thoughts and everything. Just like, it wasn't all the symbiote. It was largely in part because of me. So I with Cullen Bunn's writing and even Coelho doing the art, I enjoyed this a lot more than I thought I would.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
So you go ahead, Carlos. You go ahead, bud.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, no, I was gonna say, yeah, no, with this 3-part issue, you could definitely tell how Bunn was writing Eddie to the point where he's like, without the Venom symbiote, he has this new suit, and that what's pretty much feeding him is his rage, and he's pretty much using his own inner thoughts, his own inner anger, to feed off the suit that he's wearing. And again, like, the whole design of the Magic Venom, I just absolutely love it. It's probably one of the best designs I think Eben has made so far. And I'm also too, like, I'm kind of glad the Spire logo looked pretty cool. It's kind of like a little homage to my character's design in a bit.
Yeah, it did.
Right.
Okay.
Right. So So like, in the past, Bunn has written a very edgelord. So like started in Venomverse and Poison X. He was very cold. Like, he didn't want to work with the X-Men because they were kids, and like the Venom symbiote is like, dude, we got to help this guy, and then he's like, nah, like, I don't want to work with these kids, and he was very unlikable, and I think what happened was that Bunn read Cates' take on him, and he sort of got more of an idea of how Eddie should be, and I think that really helped him write the story. And I mean, obviously, but I think Cates' run is really helping to flesh out Eddie, and it's apparent on how Bunn wrote those three
The Poison
three
trilogy.
issues that
sorry.
right. And right, yeah. So hopefully this is also helping a lot more folks understand who he is, Because I always get the feeling that folks don't really understand who Eddie as a character is. But now, since we've had this Kate's run, folks are now starting to understand how he should be written. So that's just me.
And I will say my biggest negative for these 3 issues is the fact that it's 3 issues. This didn't need to be 3 issues long. It could have been 2 at the max. It felt like they were treading a little bit of water just to get through the event. And it definitely, like, have the setup with the first issue could have ended the same with, like, Jack being introduced. Second issue could have ended with beating Jack. They didn't need to drag it out for a whole other issue.
Yeah.
Right, and I guess we should also kind of talk about Jack. Bunn likes to use Jack, and this was not the Jack that we're all used to. This was the one that
I was a little disappointed he didn't find a way to bring him back from the dead from the Deadpool versus Black Panther, where he essentially died in that.
Yeah, so this was the literal Who Jack from the first Venom run, who just stole his costume and he's selling weapons, I believe, and he kind of scorches New York, sort of like how that one girl did in the final season of Game of Thrones. Like there were some comparisons about that, how he just kind of like scorches
Daenerys, the scorching
right.
Yeah,
He just scorches the entire
looks
town.
Very similar.
Yeah. So, but I think it was cool that we got to see him again. I don't know if we'll be seeing him again, but I do like how Jack is becoming more of a Venom character. Because he always needs his own.
Yeah, I think he fits better with Venom than he does with. I think he fits better with Venom than he does with Spider-Man, because Spider-Man's already got like multiple goblins. We don't need a different weird sort of goblin instead. So I think having a fire-based sort of like tech character is good match with Venom. So.
Yeah. Yep. And then another cool point to make for this is that I think it really helps the story in the fact that even though this is a War of the Realms tie-in, it's very self-contained in the entire event. Like, you don't see this version of Eddie Brock showing up anywhere else in the event book. He's never mentioned, and Jack is never seen as well. So I like that it's kind of in its own little corner of this event.
And speaking of, whether Jack's going to return or not, does anybody have any predictions for who picked up that Dreamstone?
Oh, yeah, that's right. So at the end of the issue, we see Eddie Brock abandoning the Dreamstone.
Literally just throw it away.
Yeah, he just throws it away, but then we see someone's hand come and try to pick it up.
See, that's something I forgot about. So that's kind of interesting. I wonder really who could that be.
Yeah, you think
it's
we're going to get like a faux symbiote character to fight Eddie in the future?
Or, it could just be this is Bunn, so he kind of likes to set things up, and I mean, we didn't see the symbiote slayers again. I mean, I'm not entirely sure we'll ever see what.
Yeah, it might just be an open-ended thing he left there. So and just an eventual plan. Like we know how many plans he's tried to get for Mania.
Now,
all these other characters.
I don't remember the hand, the way it was drawn. Was it kind of ambiguous whether it was a male or female
it was definitely very vague.
We just know it's a white hand.
Okay, because I'm thinking, we'll talk about this in a little bit, but there's a certain someone who's coming to New York for Eddie Brock, and maybe this certain someone picks up this Dreamstone to use later on.
Yep.
I don't actually know who you're talking about, so I got to find out later.
Yep.
I'm very intrigued.
Yes. All right. So I think that's a good pin to put on those War of the Realms. It was very sweet, very very short. Could have been shorter. Yes, I agree. Could have been shorter, but it was still better than what we would have expected.
But we're not done with War of the Realms yet.
No, we're not, because remember, Eddie Brock and the Venom symbiote are separated at this point, so we have one half of the story here. So moving on to that, I think I'll cover this part. While Eddie had his adventures as the Dreamstone Venom, the hostless Venom symbiote had its own misadventures during War of the Realms in the main book series, the War of the Realms Strike Force War Avengers tie-in, and Thor number 14. Venom entered the war as a member of Captain Marvel's War Avengers Strike Force to help them with the battlefront in London. Things go sideways, however, and Venom ends up captured by Malekith. The symbiote is then magically forced to take on a form similar to Null's all-black Necrosword, granting Malekith unspeakable power and turning him into Svartalvenom. Despite this exponential power boost, a small army of Thors ends up defeating Malekith and freeing Venom from his thrall. Venom limps off into the sunset, saying how it must prepare for its impending battle with Carnage. So that's pretty much it for the Venom symbiote in this series. It was for a long time, if you were reading as this came out, there was a lot of confusion among the fans of like, what's going on here? Is that supposed to be Eddie under the symbiote or what? Because it's like it was completely ambiguous what was going on, and it wasn't until a little bit later that we figure out, oh, it's this. And there was also some confusion because it felt like the way this was written, it was before, I guess whoever was in charge of this event realized that Donny Cates was going to separate Eddie and the symbiote.
The first interaction we get with Venom very much implies that Eddie is in there, because like when Venom's like taunting Malekith or whatever, and Malekith starts talking back, and then Malekith's like, "Oh no, I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to your symbiote." It's like, what are you talking about? That's like they're both the same thing.
Yeah.
Like there's no Eddie in there, so it was very confusing. I didn't understand at all what was going on. So.
Yeah, we're not Thor readers, as you could probably tell. But I was kind of disappointed in Venom's overall role. It sort of seemed like Cates and Jace and Aaron kind of had this idea that they were going to tie in Null and maybe some like Venom stuff, but Venom really wasn't a major factor in this story at all. Like, I think Malekith only used him to stab Odin once, and I pretty much think that was it. Like, no one really cared that. Yeah.
And then he put him onto one of Thor's like little fake hammers or whatever, and then like hit Thor with that a couple times. I did appreciate in the Strike Force issue that Deadpool, who knows it, who's like he was on the Ross's Thunderbolts with Agent Venom. He was like, "This isn't the Venom with the military Venom you need for a war." Like,
yes, it's the cooler Venom that everyone likes.
He did not say that. Do not put words that were in the comics.
But yeah, so I was kind of thinking he was going to have a more overarching role, but that didn't really happen. Like, I was expecting Malekith maybe like to contact Null or something, but nothing really came of Venom. He just kind of existed to stab someone once.
Yeah,
and so no one was really concerned about Venom. Like Thor like wasn't like, oh no, I have to save Venom, or like, oh no, what's going to happen to Venom? We have to save the symbiote. It's just, I don't know, like no one really cared.
Everybody hates
He just
Venom.
Existed. Yeah, he just kind of existed, and then he slunk away, and no one cared.
Well, I have a bit of a theory that what probably happened is that Jason Aaron probably saw that Donny Cates tied the Necrosword in the symbiote lore and stuff, and then he's like, "Oh, I gotta do a Null thing or something, or Venom for this my big event," and then he turned him into a sword because Necrosword, and that's where I really feel what happened. He was trying to just cash in on the popularity of Venom right now, and he's like, I gotta put Venom in my event somehow.
I mean, I don't want to sound that cynical, but I mean, maybe they just.
Look, I'm not a fan of Jason Aaron, so I'm absolutely going to be cynical here.
Yeah, like I'm not a huge Thor reader, so so no comment on that. But I mean, Venom's overall role was kind of underwhelming. He was on a few covers to look cool and didn't do a whole lot. And
also, I'm going to just say to listeners, I, for one, ladies and gentlemen, I did not read War of the Realms, so I've pretty much...
And you didn't miss a thing, trust me.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
All you got was another, I have to prepare for Carnage, like... like all the other 5 times we've heard that already.
Oh no, he also got the never before seen someone takes complete control of the symbiote. We got Lee Price, we got Kree Price, now we got Elf Price. It doesn't rhyme,
Elf Price, yeah. I mean, like, he got some new form too. Like, I think you said what that name was, Orion, but I think I forgot what it was. He said we are something
Svartal Venom or something.
Right? Yeah,
Svartal
something
Venom.
like that. Okay, but that's just a giant goo ball. But yeah, pretty cool.
So.
You know, I got the covers. You know, and he was on the Strike Force, and Captain Marvel led him on. So that's cool.
There were some cool scenes in Strike Force. I'll say that much.
Yeah.
With him fighting the ice giant, the frost giant.
Oh yeah. It was cool. It was okay.
No, not much else to say about War of the Realms there. So.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. We're gonna say about War of the Realms. Like the Titans were good, but the rest of it we're not gonna bother with anymore. So I think we can go ahead and move on to our discussion about Venom number 16.
So, between War of the Realms and Absolute Carnage, we get a single issue of the main Venom book, issue number 16. In the aftermath of Malekith's defeat, Eddie continues to question his own innocence in the fallout of his relationship with Venom. He struggles with anger and a proclivity toward violence, depicted throughout the issue as him fighting as no longer wearing the symbiote or the Dreamstone. Dylan comes down with a fever and, having no money, Eddie is forced to find a paying gig back at his old haunt, the Daily Globe. He catches a break and follows a lead about missing children, only to find a ghost from his past return to haunt him. Emil Gregg, the man who lied to Eddie about being the Sin Eater, has returned from the grave thanks to Carnage's new dark powers to taunt Eddie by abducting innocent children. Using only his strength, Eddie sends Emil back to the grave and saves the children. He takes the paper battered and bloodied, collects his cash, and returns to Dylan with food and medicine, knowing now that a run-in with Carnage is just over the horizon.
Thank you so much. And yeah, I think it was a pretty good issue. You know, it was a good little in-betweener, showing that Eddie is still very much a journalist, investigative journalist. So that was really nice. And then we saw the return of Emil Gregg. We haven't seen him since the Axis Carnage tie-in.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's been a very long time.
Oh yes, and that had my favorite line: Eddie Brock was right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this issue, I have one question: where was the Rhino? Yeah.
Misleading cover again.
Yeah, misleading cover. Yeah.
ASM lied recently too. It had all the superior foes on the cover, and then only Boomerang and Beetle were in the issue.
Oh my goodness!
Like I thought,
comics are canceled.
Like I thought for a second it was just going to be another filler issue where Eddie's just going to go on about like, oh, I wish I had Venom with me right now, and then he just looks at like random areas in New York just getting attacked by Rhino or other Spider-Man villains, and he can't do a thing about it.
He single-handedly punches Rhino out because he's so cool and he has bad powers.
Now that's one thing to note, is that if you did read the issue and you have some confusion, no, the Venom symbiote does not show up in this issue at all. What you're actually seeing is Eddie's imagination of himself unleashing his rage and being out of control. As
if he were Venom.
As if he were Venom. It kind of creates this really, negative image. He creates a negative image of Venom, saying, implying that Venom is the reason he loses control. And this just goes back to his whole argument of, how much of it was me versus how much of it was the symbiote.
Right. And then even online, folks have asked Kate, well, who was good first? Who was bad first? And he said, I think he said, that's the question, but I'm pretty sure we all know it's a little bit of both, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, so yeah, right. Sorry. Now, yeah. So some folks, online said they were kind of confused on was he actually Venom or not. I thought it was kind of pretty obvious. I mean, but maybe that's just me. But but this was a lot more obvious that he was pretending, as opposed to the free issue we got where we weren't exactly sure if that was Eddie who turned into Cletus or if it was Cletus turned into Eddie. like this was a lot more clear cut.
Yeah.
But so this issue they were still living in Rex's warehouse, which is a nice little hideout for them, I guess. Yeah, but I really liked how he went back to the Daily Globe, and I'm pretty shocked that he got in the door because I'm pretty sure they would kick him out as soon as they see who he is. But yeah,
Man,
I
that
liked
was
how they
decades
had.
ago, though. Come
Well,
on.
Yeah.
but he's still Venom
In
the
comic
movies,
book time.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Well, the intern he was nice to let him in.
Right.
He's in charge now.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I like the issue. I do think toward the end it was a little bit heavy-handed with trying to spell out, oh, he's back and he has this Grendel dragon symbiote. Like they keep trying to explain what Absolute Carnage is going to be about, and it's like
they're
we
really
already
setting
know.
it up here. So
Yeah, like we already know what it's about. I don't think we need 16 panels to explain what's happening.
We have had
I mean,
so much setup for Absolute Carnage. It's crazy.
and
Which
also
is good because we need to sell over 18 million copies. Or was it
8
a million
million.
copies? What was it? 8 million
Yeah.
copies. Yes, buy all the variants, and I'm sure we'll get there.
But also like I also just wanted to point out on the issue, like again, you just see again like how Eddie is still struggling, like he pretty much can't get a job anywhere, and he's really desperate at this point. And then also too to point out like he's like having more hallucinations of Venom, and then like at one point I think at the beginning of the issue, Dylan's complaining about how sick he is, and then you see Eddie like in his deeper thoughts about Venom, like he's pretty much telling Dylan to shut up or suck it up or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I will say, regarding those hallucinations, I think that was one of my favorite parts of the issue, because this sort of goes back to where he was in it with his mindset with the Last Temptation of Eddie Brock, where he's the cancer patient and whatnot, and he's got this vision of Venom just plaguing him and just saying like, "You're not in charge here, I'm in charge," and it's even though it's literally just Eddie, and so he kept blaming it on the inner symbiote bits inside of him. He's like, "Oh, it's not me," and so I really enjoy going back to this sort of stuff and just looking at Eddie from a character's point of view.
Yeah, it was.
Oh yes, I really love all this analyzing of him. The only question I had was, do we think that Eddie still has some remaining powers left over? Because if you remember was it Separation Anxiety, or was it one of those early ones? I can't recall. But he still had super strength because he was bonded to the symbiote for so long. So do you think
Yeah,
that
I think
was
it was
why he was
Separation
able to
Anxiety
knock
that
out
happened
all
in-
these dudes and like kick out a door and dodge shotguns and crunch people's bones in half and all that stuff?
He took a beating. Like
Yeah, no, because like when that happened, like I could have sworn the guy like hit him right in the eye, and like, oh shit, like
And he's perfectly fine.
Yeah.
Perfectly fine. But yes,
let's not say fine. He's hurt.
No, not fine.
bad. Yeah, he's
Well,
hurt
not
bad.
fine, but he could still fight a zombie. So
Yeah, they're zombies.
But yeah, like I really like this issue. Yeah, like it was good. I like how we're still focusing on Eddie as a character, even without the symbiote, which is what people complain about. But Eddie is Venom, so we can't just keep focusing on the symbiote. So please give me more Eddie.
Yeah.
Please don't kill him off after all this build-up in Absolute
They're
Carnage.
not gonna kill him off. Not when his comics
Well,
selling like hotcakes.
But it's not
You
called
worry
Eddie
too much.
Brock. It's called Venom. It should be all about Venom, not Eddie Brock.
Hashtag bring back Flash. Make them co-star.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
The Aaron's worst nightmare.
Yeah, worst nightmare. Worst nightmare. Yeah, so let's talk about the implication that Cletus brought someone back from the dead.
Oh, I know where you're going with this.
I have a theory that I've been saying for like literal months. That
You've
folks
made
are
theories on
tired of.
Twitter, and it's kind of adding up.
All the
It's
time.
kind of
Yes.
adding up.
So, since Cletus can bring people back from the dead, and She-Venom got a True Believers issue right before Absolute Carnage came out, and Dylan doesn't know that Eddie is his father, I'm thinking Cletus is going to spill the beans by bringing back Anne Wang as a zombie.
I really
Yeah,
hope
but I mean,
not.
he needs her codex anyway, so absolutely she's coming back in some form.
That would be
I
cool.
really hope not. I really hope Anne is still alive out there somewhere. That she actually didn't
No.
commit suicide.
Well,
Oh.
also, we also got her on a codex variant
Oh yeah, that's
by
pretty
Clayton
cool.
Crane. So, and all of the other codex variants have people that are involved in the story.
I don't know.
Or
Ryan.
dead. Hashtag scorn.
She's
Rip in peace.
she's coming back. Anne
I
Wing
don't
is
know.
going to come back, and
But
she's
I-
going to
I-
drop the beans.
No, but like,
I think
It's
you guys
going
are
to be
hyping.
sad.
it
I
sounds
think
like
she's
it is
coming
gonna
back in some
happen.
form, but Orion's definitely setting himself up for failure. I don't think she's going to be alive. There's no way.
I hold
No,
out hope.
she will be 100% dead.
I hold out
He,
hope.
yeah. I'm pretty sure Cletus is going to like have her skull like on like a little stick, just like, "Hello, I'm your mom. I'm dead."
Pretty much.
Aw. Makes me
Yeah.
sad.
It's going to
And
be
you know,
sad.
Donnie. I think Donnie's stay, like Absolute Carnage, is going to be a very, very horrific thrill ride. So
Yeah. And I don't want to talk about all the other stuff we heard about Absolute Carnage, I guess. I think we're going to save that. But at least this issue also had a nice little sweet father-son moment of them just chilling on the couch, watching Impractical Jokers. That was great. That was nice. I like that.
Yeah.
I'm definitely
Yeah.
like they've teased something big with Dylan, but
We
I
can't talk
would
about
like
it.
Eddie.
Can't
I
talk
know.
about that.
I know. I just said something big. I didn't say what it was, but I really hope like we get more Eddie father son stuff with Eddie, and just I'm really
Before
interested to
something
see.
bad happens.
I'm really interested to see Dylan's reaction when he learns that Venom's his dad.
I'm pretty sure it'll be, "Oh, sweet, dude. Sweet,
Yeah,
let's go
way
play
past
Pokemon."
cool.
Yeah.
Dad, who's that guy? Oh, it's just Spider-Man. Ew, get away from me.
Yeah. Spiders
All
are
right.
no good.
Well, I think that's a good stopping point right there for that discussion. So we can go ahead and move on. Carlos, you're going to tell us all about Funeral Pyre, the latest Web of Venom issue.
In Web of Venom, Funeral Pyre, we return to Annie Benton, formerly Agent Venom's symbiotic sidekick Mania. She's living in Philadelphia once more with her Aunt Sarah and working hard at a record store. She's moved on since the end of Venom Inc. and built herself a normal life with normal friends. However, we learn that Annie has been having horrific, vivid nightmares about the Mania symbiote yearning to possess her again. She gets the feeling that these nightmares may be a warning rather than just something akin to photon limb syndrome. Sure enough, one of her nightmares becomes reality when Carnage kills her Aunt Sarah and chases after Andy, intent on killing her, and removing her Mania index. Just when things look grim for Andy, her demonic Hellmark powers kicks in to save her, allowing her to summon Hellfire and the monsters of evil to protect her. But thanks to Carnage's burgeoning null gifted powers, she quickly learns that her hell powers aren't enough to stop him. Before Carnage can land the final blow, Andy is teleported away by her powers and lands in New York, where she tasks herself to finding Eddie Brock and Venom before Carnage does.
Excellent. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
And I think this is just continuing Bun's comeback with writing some good Venom stuff and finally getting the chance once again to write his baby, Andy Benton.
Yeah, let me start because I'm not a huge fan of Mania, and I want to be the negative Nancy first, I guess. So,
Womp womp.
Hater.
yeah, right. Yeah, so I'm not a huge fan of Mania. I do think she has a lot of potential. I think she has a lot more things going for her than, say, Spider Gwen. You know, she's a teenage goth symbiote character. I think she has a lot of potential, but I think it's just squandered for some reason. But I mean, I like the issue, but this with a few other Web of Venom issues didn't exactly need to be said. Like, I'm kind of happy, you know, folk or fans of her get another story, but overall this issue doesn't really affect the main story at all. I mean, it was still cool to see her, you know, summon back the monsters of evil again and fight Carnage, who written by Bun is always fun. but I didn't really enjoy the issue that much. I might have enjoyed it more if she actually got her symbiote back, but we know that's going to happen down the line. But I mean, if she got her symbiote back this issue, I think this would be one of those that you pretty much have to read. But from the standpoint of that, I didn't really enjoy this issue because, you know, like half of the folks that got killed, well, actually, most of the folks that were supposedly killed were just hallucinations, and that happened like 3 times before we actually see her Aunt Sarah get killed. And what? This is like the third parental character she's had that's been killed in front of her, or just killed in general. So that nice, I guess. But yeah, I mean, y'all stands of her, y'all pop off. You know, y'all have fun.
Well,
I'll
thanks,
just see
Aaron.
I'll just have to see what happens of her in Absolute Carnage, and if she actually gets to stay a character after that.
Well,
But yeah.
For me, I was just kind of glad after all this time since Venom Inc., which I don't want to go on a rant about again. But anyway, I'm just glad, you know, we got an update for Andy and what's been going on with her in Philadelphia. You know, she's actually started, you know, progressing in her life, getting over what happened, you know, from those events of Venom Inc. You know, she's gotten real friends. She has a job at a record store. So she's doing quite nice for herself. But then, you know, she's again, like we said, she started having those nightmares about the Mania symbiote, and you know, as we knew that it was pretty much a warning that, you know, Carnage was coming, and you know, it just sucks that, you know, her Aunt Sarah had to die, and you know, I thought this was going to be it because like months before, like I said to Bun, like, please don't let this be the issue that she dies. You know, I hope
She's not gonna die. I don't know. I saw so many people guessing that she was gonna die, and I don't understand. Bun's not gonna kill her. Are you people crazy? Like,
Yeah, Case is going to kill her. What are you talking about?
but I don't know why people thought she was gonna die this issue. Like, I don't think she's gonna die at all. I really don't.
She has too much potential, honestly. It's just been wasted.
I mean, I think that, you know, I was really hoping she was going to get the Mania symbiote in this issue. That didn't happen, so
I was hoping for that. We did not get that, but
maybe
I totally bet on her aunt dying, though, and I was totally right. You know, she died in a really horrific way too.
Oh yeah, that was fun to watch. I like that.
Splitting her in half.
Yeah,
now,
that was fun.
One thing I'd like to mention is, you know, we really get to see her use her hell powers again. And even in the end, when Carnage was like, she had a few close calls where Carnage was just about to kill her, and the last time, her hell powers automatically teleported her. I think it was to New York or something like that.
Yes.
Yeah. So it teleported her to New York, and it's interesting because it's like, if anyone's been paying attention to Marvel's recent comic news, they've been teasing some new event, I think in December or something like that, about someone's going to be a king or something. And I believe that we might be revisiting the Descent storyline and finally getting something about who's going to be the next King of Hell, because I think right now it's supposed to be Johnny Blaze, but who knows? I don't even know how legitimate that is, and there's still all
it is very. I can tell you from experience, it is very legitimate. They've referenced some stuff for the upcoming Danny Ketch series where Johnny is still going to be King of Hell, and
is that Beware the Ghost Rider?
Yeah, and then some future
Right, yeah.
some future Avengers issues are also dealing with Johnny as King of Hell currently.
Yeah, I think
So-
we're going back to Hell. I think we're going to be seeing maybe a conclusion to the Descent storyline, because, you know, Johnny's already the King of Hell, but you still have people out here hell marked for that position, so there might be a whole war.
But yeah. She will most definitely show up in that because that's, you know, hell related. But yeah. But yeah, that'll be interesting. That's only if she survives Absolute Carnage, because some people got to die. Some folks got to die.
And I'm really hoping she does.
Yeah.
There's someone's definitely going to die, but I don't know who it's going to be.
I don't know either, but we'll say that for next time.
It's gonna be Spider-Man this time. It's gonna be Spider-Man finally.
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
my God, Orion.
Yeah. Oh, so one thing that kind of threw salt in my wound was, at one point of the story, there's a milk carton. What does
Yep.
it say on the milk
Yep.
carton?
Says
It
Yeah.
Donna
says
Diego.
missing Donna Diego, and Cullen Bunn is writing the Absolute Carnage Scream miniseries where Scream is not Donna Diego, where it's Patricia Robertson.
Yeah.
So that kind of threw some salt in the wound there. I was kind of
Yeah.
mad
So,
about that.
do you think he's just saying like, oh yeah, she's dead for sure? Is that what that was? Do you think?
I I mean, I don't think she'll come back. I'm pretty sure she's dead. I think that's just a little hint, hint, nudge, nudge. I mean, I would
Yeah.
love to see her back, but if they're making a Scream miniseries and it's not Donna, then she's dead. She's just
Yeah.
dead. But
We'll find out in 2 weeks.
yeah,
I will say,
Yeah.
nice little touch. I thought Colin Bunn added. I really appreciated that Andy in her full hell form, I guess, with the goat legs and everything. She's still got her wrench. She's got a demonic wrench.
still got a
Yep.
wrench.
Saw that wrench.
Her
Yeah,
her
she had
signature weapon.
Yep, she had a wrench in her first appearance. She had a wrench in Venomverse, and now she has a wrench in this one. But it's a
Hasbro.
hell-powered wrench.
Hey Hasbro, when you do make a Marvel Legends Mania, include the wrench,
Include
please.
the wrench.
Yes.
Yeah. You have to keep waiting for that one, though.
Yeah.
Include the wrench. I'm still kind of miffed. She said Eddie Brock is the other Venom. You know, not the Venom. It's the other Venom.
Other.
Still kind of salty about that. But, you know.
Yeah.
Look,
He's gonna
hashtag
say
not
today.
my venom.
Hashtag not my Venom. Yep. Yep. Another Venomverse reference there. Yep.
I think.
But yeah, like I said, I love how Bunn writes Carnage. He's always kind of fun and says little snarky things, like he said little snot, and then he said oh geez, what did he say? He said, "Damn girl, you're freaky" or something like
Damn
that.
girl, you freak.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then he also
I love how Bunn writes Carnage.
at one point he also called her Boo, like where you
Boo.
going, Boo?
Oh yeah, that's funny. But same issue with this one that I've been having is that he also monologues. Oh, I'm the apostle of Null. I have a dragon symbiote. I want to eat all your spines and blah 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 blah. Like we know. You don't have to tell us every 2 seconds. But yeah, I enjoyed it a whole lot. Except for me not really liking Mania. It was still good.
Boo.
Boo.
And at least those monsters of evil are dead, because I didn't like those things either.
I never really cared for them. So.
Yeah. But yeah, it was still good. I liked it.
All right. I think now's a good point to put a pin in today's episode. So, looking forward, we have a special weekly podcast series starting after August 8th, in which we will review the latest Absolute Carnage comics and tie-ins for each week from August through October. We will record each weekly episode Wednesday night and, with luck, have it available the next day on our podcast players. Speaking of podcast players, good news everybody! Our Venomaniacs is now available on Podbean, Spotify, and soon Apple Music and Google Play Music. You can stream or download our podcasts for on-the-go listening. So, in the future, if you'd like to participate in a live audience for the We Are Venomaniacs episodes, just join our Discord and check out the podcast chat channel for details about our next recording date. As always, thanks to my fellow hosts Carlos, Tyler, and Aaron for joining me today.
No
Happy
problem.
to be
Thank
here.
you.
Nice.
And thank you as well to the Venom site for permitting us to make this podcast under the TVS banner and all of your generous support. And finally, thank you, loyal listeners and fellow Venomaniacs. You guys make an awesome community, and it's an honor to be your voice on the airwaves. Together, we are Venomaniacs.